The world is old and the powers are weary. The god at the door of night has fallen, and the great enemy of the world has come back from the timeless void. The shadow has awakened the great evils to regain dominion over Ardar. Darkness shall cover the land, if not of the deeds of a small fellowship of elf friends. Join the players of this Dungeons & Dragons campaign as they fulfill the events of the Dagor Daggeroth prophecy and strive with Morgoth on the plains of Valinor. Welcome to the Undying Lands in Part 3 of the Inglorion Bastards trilogy, Trials of the Valar.
All right, welcome everybody to another edition of the podcast. I have a very good privilege here of having both of my children with me. And I've talked about Eden and Griffin on the podcast before, but I thought if Jimmy Fallon can get away with it with the Tonight Show, doing his show from home and having his kids on, why can't we do the same thing? So as my kids know, I do a podcast. And maybe that's the first place I should start. Did you guys know that your dad had a podcast?
Yes, I did.
Yes, I did.
Well, Eden, you go first. Do you have any idea what Dad's podcast is about?
It's about the Lord of the Rings and J.R.R. Tolkien, and you guys are sort of playing a game, for D&D.
And has Daddy been working on this for a long time?
Of course.
Of course. Yeah. What about you, Griffin? Did you have any idea Daddy had a podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah? And did you know what it was about?
Yeah. Some Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. And do you guys know what a podcast is?
It's you recording your voice.
Yeah. Yeah. And then who am I sharing it with? Do you know?
You're sharing it with
your friends.
And
it's like a website so that people can see it.
People can see it and listen to it? Yeah.
Hear it.
And here, yeah, good. So the topic of the podcast is, like you guys said, is about Lord of the Rings and Tolkien and The Hobbit and Dungeons and Dragons. I'm curious, guys, has Daddy ever played any Dungeons and Dragons with you?
Yes, we've done a board game dungeon before where there's like monster tokens and you have to fight them and there's checkpoints and you need like amount of gold so you can go return somewhere and win the game.
So you really like that game called Dungeon. That's fun to play, yeah?
Yeah. And Daddy set us our own D&D game on the computer.
That's right, we did. And we've played with friends before too, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
You guys think of character names?
No, I mean like on the computer.
Oh, we did that too. Yeah.
No, but we haven't even played it. We've only set it up yet.
We did. We were working on setting up something in Roll20.
You're recording your voice on that when we're talking when it's supposed to be paused.
It's not supposed to be paused.
Okay, is there a pause button?
No, there's no pause button
Okay.
on the podcast. So let me ask you another question. What about Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit? Do either of you, and we'll start with Griffin first this time. Do you like the Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit?
I like The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and has Daddy read The Hobbit with you yet?
Yeah, no.
Are we gonna read it soon?
Yes.
Yeah, and then the Lord of the Rings.
Don't wait till you're older though.
So what about you, Eden?
I've read The Hobbit and I've had a lot of experience with it because Daddy has read it to me and I really enjoyed it right after Daddy finished it. So I was like, can I read it? And he was like, okay. And then we watched the movie and I was really into it. And I also like The Fellowship. We started reading it, but I think the most creepy part about it was the Black Riders.
Black Riders are scary.
Those were kind of scary.
Kind of. Not really scary, though.
Not to you, Griffin?
Because they're, like, addicted to the ring. That's
so
just
just
creepy.
Like they're invisible with black cloaks to
That's
make
just
them invisible.
Creepy. That's just creepy.
Yeah.
It's like black cloaks to make them invisible.
No, they're not dead or alive. So if the ring's destroyed, they're going to be destroyed because the ring is what is keeping them, like alive.
Somebody's been paying attention, that's right. So,
I'm paying attention more than Aiden, so you should understand me more.
All right. Well, tell me. So Daddy's rule is generally we have to read the book before we watch the movie, and
that's none of my agreement.
Well, that's not in your agreement, no, because we didn't think you would read The Hobbit for a couple more years.
Is that so? I'm gonna read it when I'm 7.
Okay. All right. Well,
and it's almost my birthday, bro. So you have to get ready for it, bro.
my birthday had to be canceled because of the coronavirus, and my birthday theme was actually The Hobbit.
It was. What were we gonna do for your birthday?
We were gonna play sword fights, and we made cloaks, and we made a cake up that's Bilbo's Hobbit hole.
Eden. Go ahead.
And my dad got me
Dwarf cloaks.
Wallen,
Feely, Keely,
and Bilbo and
Thorn.
And what were they going to be used for?
Well, I was...
The birthday cake.
So, Thorn and Bilbo were going to stand on the birthday cake, but Griffin and I were going to play with the other characters.
Now, we had to cancel that birthday party because of the coronavirus, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
I was so sad.
Yeah.
I'm so sad that my birthday party is probably going to be canceled.
Probably too, yeah. Can I ask you, though, it sounds like you really love The Hobbit. When we read the books, you obviously wanted to pick the Hobbit up again and start reading it on your own, and then I let you watch the movie. I was wondering which did you like more? Did you like the books or the movie more of the Hobbit?
Well, it's hard to say because I really liked both of them, but I kind of like the book more than the movie, or the movie more than the book. I like them the same, I think, because I wasn't very scared when you read it to me, but when I watched the movie, like at the spider part, it like kind of freaked me out. So that's why I like the book a little more than the movie, but I like the movie a little more than the book because it kind of has different parts in it that I didn't get to read in the book, and some of those parts are very interesting.
Griffin, can you sit up for a second? I have a question for you now. You didn't get a chance to read The Hobbit yet, but did you enjoy the movie?
Yes.
Did you have a favorite part?
Yes, it was the spider part.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, did you have a favorite part, Eden?
Can I say what my favorite song is too?
Sure.
My favorite song is Blunt the Knives because that song has just been in my head for a while. And my favorite part in the movie, I liked the part where like they had the big battle scene. That was really cool.
The Battle of the Five Armies? Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah. What about favorite characters? Do you have any favorite characters from The Hobbit?
I have maybe 4. My first is Lady Galadriel. My second is Thorn and Bilbo. And my last favorite character is Smaug.
He's a favorite?
Yeah.
Yeah, you like him? He's tricksy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Griffin, what is your favorite character?
Balin and Dwalin and the White Wizard. I don't know who his name is. No. Gandalf and the other wizard.
You like you like Saruman? You like Saruman the White or Radagast the Brown?
I like both.
You do. Saruman's kind of a bad guy.
I know, kind of Saruman.
Daddy told me that Saruman kind of turns evil in the second book of the Lord of the Rings and in the Fellowship, because Gandalf and Saruman they were like buddies, but then they had a big wizard battle, and then in the second book, the Two Towers, like Sauron speaks with Saruman in this like crystal ball.
Yeah, the Palantir.
Yeah.
Yeah. The White
true.
Wizard had the crystal ball. And there was a wizard battle, and Gandalf lost the battle.
Eden, what do you think about the Fellowship of the Ring? Because we started reading that book together. Tell me what you think of, how is it different than The Hobbit?
It has a lot more details, I think, about what's happening and what's going to happen.
Griffin, what other books by J.R.R. Tolkien are you reading? In fact, we read it last night.
Mr. Bliss.
Mr. Bliss, yeah. What do you think of Mr. Bliss?
That he has a yellow car.
Yeah.
He has a long hat, and there's a rabbit that's...
A jirabbit.
A giraffe. It's a rabbit with a long neck like a giraffe. Like a giraffe, and it's called a girabbit.
That's a jirabbit. It's kind of funny, huh?
It's like the same size as a castle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty big. His head sticks out the top of his house. That's the part we're at now. Well, let me ask you this, and we'll go back to Eden first. Do you have any advice for people who are thinking about either picking up The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings for the first time, what would your advice to them be?
For The Hobbit, if you don't like spiders, you probably in the movie should like skip the spider part because they're like big spiders, so they would freak you out.
So where are the spiders? So they know.
Right, like when you go into Mirkwood.
Okay.
And it's all black with black trees.
Guess that's why they call it Mirkwood, huh? Right.
Because it's magical.
Because it's murky.
And if you go off the trail, bad things could happen.
That's true. Bad things do happen.
When you pick up the Fellowship of the Ring, you should be expecting some scary parts. Because if you've already read The Hobbit, it's a little more scarier than that. And if you didn't like the spiders in it, you probably shouldn't read any other books of The Lord of the Rings because there's an even bigger spider. And I think those were just her babies. And the spider's name is Shelob.
Yeah.
Yeah. Frodo, he got stinged by Shelog's stinger.
That's right.
And it hurt him.
That's right. We haven't watched that part or read that part yet. And what about the last question here? Is there anything you would tell children who wanted to read The Hobbit? Would you recommend maybe reading it with a parent first?
I would recommend reading it with a parent first because
It's really scary.
like if you don't expect things to like suddenly pop out, then you should probably start reading it with a parent.
Is The Hobbit all scary?
No, but for me, only the spider part was a little scary.
Okay.
No, that's not true.
What about the
That's
goblins?
scary.
Oh, the goblins were a little freaky, but I mean, not totally.
Well,
scary.
the king goblin, they cut his head off.
They did. What about the wargs?
The warg.
The wargs, they were like the same as the goblins. They kind of looked the same.
Yeah,
Okay.
they actually did.
They worked together, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Daddy, I have another favorite character.
What is
I
it? Who
forgot to
is it?
say it. Tauriel and Legolas. Legolas because he is such a good archer. He's so good at bow and arrowing. And Tauriel because she's so good with swords and knives.
All right.
Yeah, and that's my favorite character too. I forgot his name for some reason.
Legolas? You like Legolas?
Yeah.
And if you've read the Fellowship before, I recommend watching this video on YouTube. It's a little clip from the Fellowship of the Ring, but with lightsabers.
Yeah, that was fun. Lord of the Rings with lightsabers.
Yeah!
All right, guys. Well, thank you for coming and being interviewed by your dad. Bye-bye. Though this marks the end of the episode, the road goes ever on. Until next time, join us at Longwinded.one and consider giving us a review on Apple Music, Spotify, or really whichever platform you choose.